Hello, everybody. All right, so I was having a conversation last night with somebody about like the hesitancy guitar players have to learn music theory, which I totally understand. It does seem like it's like rigid and a little bit mathematical because there are numbers involved, and that is really not the case. We're using numbers to describe something that's a little bit more language based. And we just can't use words to do it because we need to make sure we're taking the guessing out of what it is that we're playing. You know what I mean? So if I have this A minor, right, and I give that, sort of accented bend on that flat 3 of the minor pentatonic, that is a question that demands an answer. You know what I mean? To describe it in this sort of like over wordy kind of way, we can miss the target. But to say, if I accent that minor third, that flat 3, and then answer it, this is what it's going to sound like. If I have my major, and I'm sort of improvising a solo there, start on my 3 maybe. Into that 4. Oh, now the conversation's moving a little bit. I'm not 100% sure where. Cool. If I bring it up to that 5, sort of dance around the 5 and the 7, that's like, we're about at that climax. Boom. There we are at the tonic, and then everything is sort of resolved that way. So that is sort of the reason we're using the number system. We want to take the guessing away. And that's really what music theory is for. Just like when we're speaking, if I come up with a phrase, I want to be able to compound on that phrase and keep the musical conversation going, right? If I'm continually guessing, then that's, number one, going to be impossible to do improvisationally. I'm going to have to write everything out. It sort of reminds me of when I go to Spain and I'm introducing myself, if I have a show, everything is scripted, right? I can't get away from the script because I don't quite know exactly what I'm saying. And there is a little bit of guessing, sort of happening there. But if I know the language, like English, I can continually speak. I've done public speaking, 2-hour seminars where I don't know the first sentence that I'm going to say when everybody walks in and sits down. I don't even know that starting point. I just generally know what I need to talk about, and I go through that for 2 hours, and there's no hang up because I'm not guessing. That's what we're really trying to do with music theory. Now, even with the course that I have out, there have been people that ask, do I need to learn music theory? No. I mean, it depends what you want to do with the guitar and with music in general, but no, I don't think so. I don't think that everybody absolutely needs to. If you'd like to take any of the guesswork out, and if you want to be an improvisational guitar player, even for songwriters, if you have a lyrical idea that doesn't match up with the music, that can start to cause a little bit of a disconnect, in what it is that you're trying to say. I mean, that is a huge part of songwriting. The songwriters that we know and love are the ones that can take the linguistical nature of music and match that up with the lyrics that they're putting into. So there is no non-benefit to it. It doesn't keep you locked within these constraints. It lets you know what it is that you want to say, and that does include stepping out of those lines. You know what I mean? If I have that solo, let's say, and then I'm like, all right, cool. All right, what about completely stepped out of those lines, right? Of what theoretically, linguistically is supposed to happen, right? Did it in a creative way, and that really, caught the attention, right? I don't have to just stick. They're not rules, tools to let you know what it is that you have said and how to keep saying what you want to say, right? And that's really, I think, the sort of best way to describe it. I did just do a Q&A, and this is sort of the last part of the video, where somebody said, hey, I really want to learn how to play by ear. If I'm hearing a song, how I can figure it out. Now, there are ways to do that without theory, especially with, just I mean, songs don't need to be confusing. My favorite songs are one chord. So with the easier songs, yeah, that is possible to do it without theory. I think. I always try to find the bass note and try to is that okay? The bass note's G, great. Is it major? Is it minor? The best part about theory, as we're talking in the sense of taking the guesswork out of what it is that you're doing, is if I hear immediately, there is no question that I have something to attribute those sounds to. That is a 1 to a flat 7, right? And I can do that. I don't need to have an instrument just sort of fumbling around, And I think where that really comes, something to notice is those that know what a 1-4-5 is, we can hear that and say, oh, I know what that is, right? All right, now, if you could say it's a 1-4-5, some people do, not realizing that that is music theory. The other funny thing, too, is if you're like, oh, well, that's when you're on this fret, and then you go to the next fret, the next set of strings, the same fret, and then you go up 2 frets. Okay, cool, right? You started music theory. You're attributing those sounds to something, right? You might as well learn what that something is rather than just sort of like decoding it in your brain, Same with, if you're hearing like a pentatonic solo, right? The best thing about really getting into the minor pentatonic first, when you're getting into improvisational guitar, just guitar soloing in general, is you can sort of start listening to solos and say, I know exactly how to play that now, without having my guitar in my hand, because I know what that scale sounds like. I know what notes those are, when they hit the root note and so on. Now, if you could do that without knowing that, 1 flat 3, 1 flat 7 5, etc., that's great, but you are still attributing those sounds to something, right? So it might as well be what the something actually is, rather than adding another element. If you're just guessing altogether, I think you're slowing down your creative process. If every time you grab the guitar, if there's something that you want to say, and you don't know how to do it, it's just going to be a guess and a guess and a guess and a guess. It'd be like being in a conversation with somebody where you ask them a question and they answer you with something that has nothing to do with the question. They say, oh, no, that's not it. And they answer a different way. No, that's not it. And then they ask another question. You know what I mean? It's just like they're just saying a whole bunch of things, and then eventually we'll get to what they want to say to answer your question. Like they're just guessing until they eventually get there, right? Might as well know what it is that you want to say musically. And really, I think that music cognition idea is what really set that free in my mind, is that you could be great with music, but you're not going to excel necessarily in math, because like we're just sort of adding, like if I have, a solo and I end on the 3rd, if I'm in A, and I say, oh, harmonize with that. All I'm doing is just going to the 5th. You know what I mean? And all I did was add 2. I'm not like, there's not like crazy math, so it's just like a little bit of addition and subtraction if you want to think of it in that sort of like building harmonies way, or like a harmonic way. But it's very freeing once you know it, because you're able to speak the language the way that you want to and take the guesswork out of it, is what I want to say. So that is my Saturday rant. I hope you guys have a great weekend. You're probably going to watch this on a day that isn't Saturday, but it's Saturday morning for me, and I will see you guys soon.